My name is Erin Gray, and I'm an actress mostly known for Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
Lately, the internet has been buzzing about one of science fiction's brightest stars. Concerned comments and speculative posts have been painting a worrying picture, leaving fans everywhere wondering, what happened to the vibrant, trailblazing Erin Gray? The woman who became a symbol of strength for a generation as Colonel Wilma Deering in Buck Rogers is now the subject of some pretty troubling rumors. So, is the heartbreaking news actually true? Has time, tragedy, or the tough reality of Hollywood finally caught up with this beloved icon? Tonight, we're cutting through the noise to get to the real story. We'll go back to the height of her fame, look at the struggles the public never got to see, and finally, reveal the powerful and inspiring truth about her life today. This is the real story of Erin Gray, and it's a story of resilience that's way more interesting than any rumor. Before we get to the starlit past and the inspiring present, we have to talk about the shadow that sparked this whole story. For all its good, the online world has a dark side, where a little bit of concern can quickly turn into a full-blown panic. A lack of news is often twisted into bad news. For someone as cherished as Erin Gray, this gets amplified. Fans who grew up seeing her break barriers on screen feel a real personal connection. She wasn't just some actress on TV, she was a role model, a vision of a future where women were in charge. So when a phrase like "heartbreaking news for Erin Gray" starts making the rounds, it hits hard. It kicks off a ton of questions. Is she sick? Is she in some kind of trouble? The worry comes from a good place, but it's fueled by algorithms that push shocking, emotional content to the top of our feeds. When a star who has gracefully stepped away from the constant spotlight goes quiet, that silence gets misinterpreted. Every rare photo is suddenly analyzed for any hint of sadness or weakness. This is the exact trap so many legacy stars fall into. Their most devoted fans, the ones who had the posters and the lunchboxes, just want to know that their heroes are doing okay. But when there's no constant media presence, a void opens up, and that's where speculation rushes in. The internet starts writing its own script, usually a worst-case scenario. We've seen it happen over and over with our favorite stars from the 70s and 80s. A quiet retirement gets spun into a story of retreat and decline. A private life is imagined as a hidden struggle. The fears for Erin Gray were born in that exact digital world. Fans would be scrolling, see a dramatic headline, and their hearts would just sink. They remember her as the definition of strength and vitality, so the idea of anything less feels like a betrayal of that memory. But is that story, spun from a mix of real love and cynical clickbait, the truth? To understand what's really going on, we need to understand the woman behind the uniform. We have to go back to the beginning, before she was a colonel or a star, to see how a young woman from Hawaii forged a path that would take her to the 25th century and beyond. Long before she put on that iconic Earth Defense Directorate uniform, Erin Gray's ambitions were more about math than movies. Born in Honolulu, Hawaii, she moved around a lot as a kid, which probably gave her the adaptability she'd need for the wild world of entertainment. After her parents separated, she spent a lot of her youth with her grandparents. The original plan wasn't Hollywood. It was UCLA, where she was all set to study mathematics, but life had other plans. Winning a modeling contest when she was just 14 lit a completely different fire. That first taste of being on camera led to more work, like TV commercials, and even a dancing gig on a show called Malibu U. The pull of this new world was too strong to ignore. Gray made the huge decision to move to New York City, the center of the modeling universe, to see where it would take her. Her rise was incredibly fast. By the mid-1970s, Erin Gray wasn't just a model. She was one of the highest-paid, most recognizable faces in the business. She was pulling in an incredible $100,000 a year, which is like $500,000 today, as the face of huge brands like Breck, Max Factor, and Clairol. She was the it girl of the commercial world, her face synonymous with American beauty. But even with all that success, a different dream was starting to form. Frequent trips to LA for modeling work gave her the chance to try her hand at acting. She started going to auditions, wanting to explore a new kind of performance. In 1978, it all paid off when she landed a starring role in the miniseries Evening in Byzantium. It was her big break, and her performance got great reviews, proving she was more than just a famous model. Universal Studios saw her star power and signed her to a 7-year contract. It was the golden ticket, and it led directly to the role that would change her life and science fiction forever. The call came for a screen test for a new show, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. The part was Colonel Wilma Deering, the badass commander of Earth's defense forces. In the late 70s, this was a revolutionary idea. TV sci-fi was pretty much a boys' club. Women were usually the damsels in distress or the pretty assistants. Colonel Deering was neither. She was the boss. She was the warrior. She was in charge. Gray nailed the part, and from the second she hit the screen in the 1979 pilot movie, she was a phenomenon. Her portrayal of Colonel Deering was the perfect mix of strength, smarts, and grit, with just enough vulnerability to make her real. That futuristic jumpsuit became an instant icon, a symbol of a new kind of female hero. Gray even joked that the uniform was so tight they literally had to sew her into it. But the costume was just the packaging. The real gift was the character. Erin Gray gave Wilma Deering a level of authority and skill that was almost unheard of for a female character in the genre. She was a brilliant strategist and a top-notch pilot who could win any dogfight. For millions of viewers, especially young women, this was game-changing. Gray knew exactly how important the role was, saying in one interview, "I was the first female colonel. I enjoyed being that kind of role model for female viewers. A woman can be a colonel. A woman can be in charge." The show was a hit, and Erin Gray became a household name. She wasn't just a top model anymore. She was a sci-fi legend with her face on lunchboxes and action figures. But behind the scenes, things were a lot more complicated. The schedule for a weekly TV show was brutal. The hours were long and exhausting, totally different from a controlled modeling shoot. On top of that, Gray was navigating this high-pressure career as a new mother. The struggle to balance global stardom with motherhood was a battle the public never saw. It was a silent fight fought off-camera, proving her own personal strength was just as real as the Colonel's. The starlight was bright, but keeping it shining took an incredible amount of work. For a lot of actors, playing a role as iconic as Colonel Wilma Deering can be a double-edged sword. It gives you worldwide fame, but it can also trap you in typecasting forever. How do you move on from a character that defines you? For Erin Gray, that was the big question after Buck Rogers. Hollywood loves to put people in boxes, and escaping that awesome spandex-clad box was going to take some serious versatility and grit. Right after her 2 seasons in the 25th Century, Gray proved she was more than a one-trick pony. She jumped straight into one of the biggest sitcoms of the 80s, Silver Spoons. As Kate Summers, the smart, sophisticated personal secretary who eventually marries the wealthy and quirky Edward Stratton through, she showed a completely different side of her talent. She swapped the laser pistol for witty one-liners and military command for perfect comedic timing, playing the straight woman to the hilarious Joel Higgins and a young rising star named Ricky Schroeder. Gray became the warm, steady heart of the show. Her character, Kate, was the glue that held the wacky family together. The role made her a fixture in American homes all over again, but in a totally new way. She was no longer just the sci-fi action hero. She was the charming, relatable center of a hit comedy. Silver Spoons ran for 5 seasons and cemented her status as a truly versatile TV star. It was a brilliant move that showed she had a range nobody saw coming. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Gray was a constant and welcome guest on TV. She mastered the guest spot, bringing her unique grace to some of the biggest shows of the time, like Magnum, P.I., The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, and Murder, She Wrote. Each role was a new character, a new world, and a reminder to everyone that she could do it all. She wasn't just sitting around waiting for another lead role. She was a working actress, constantly honing her craft. She kept working in movies, too, often picking roles that challenged her image. In 1993, she took a wild turn into horror with Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. It was a bold move, showing she wasn't afraid to take risks and play in a totally different genre. Seeing Colonel Deering face off against a slasher icon might have been a shock to some, but it was a clear sign that she refused to be limited by her past. But the road wasn't always easy. Gray has been refreshingly honest about her journey, admitting that, like anyone, she made some mistakes. She's reflected on her career with real candor, acknowledging that while some choices might not have been the best in hindsight, she did things her way. This isn't a story of failure. It's the story of navigating the tricky currents of a Hollywood life. She had to learn to fight for herself in a system that wasn't always built for women to win. She's talked about being raised to be seen and not heard, and how playing Colonel Deering was actually an exercise in finding her own power. She said it was like putting on a cloak of strength, an experience that let her tap into the same power she was projecting on screen. This journey of professional growth and self-discovery shows us a tenacious professional who fought for her spot and never stopped looking for new challenges. The heartbreaking news was never some sudden tragedy. It was the quiet, day-to-day struggle that every artist knows, the fight to stay creative, to stay relevant, and to be seen for who you are, not just for the shadow of one iconic role. The real story was always one of endurance. So now we get to the real heart of it, the reason we started this whole journey. We're back to the whispers and worried questions. What happened to Erin Gray? Is the heartbreaking news true? The simple answer is no. The truth isn't a story of tragedy or decline. In fact, it's the exact opposite. The reality of Erin Gray's life today is an incredible story of purpose, business savvy, and a deep sense of inner peace that's more inspiring than any TV script. Instead of running from the sci-fi world that made her a star, Erin Gray has leaned into it, but this time on her own terms. She saw a gap in the industry between the stars of beloved shows and the conventions that wanted to book them. So what did the former colonel do? She took command. Gray started her own booking agency, brilliantly named Heroes for Hire. This isn't some little hobby. It's a successful business that connects sci-fi and fantasy actors with events, speaking gigs, and charities. Think about how genius that is. Who better to handle the world of fan conventions than someone who's been on the other side of the autograph table for decades? Erin gets what the talent needs, what the events require, and what the fans want. She built a company from the ground, up to serve her fellow actors with integrity. She's not just a part of the sci-fi legacy anymore. She's one of its key architects, making sure the stars of yesterday and today can keep connecting with their fans. This isn't what someone in decline does. This is the move of a smart, empowered businesswoman. But her reinvention doesn't stop there. Maybe the most inspiring part of her life today is something worlds away from a Hollywood set: the ancient art of Tai Chi. For Erin, Tai Chi isn't just a workout. It's a philosophy and a healing art that has become a core part of her life. She's not just a student. She's a passionate and skilled teacher of Qigong and Tai Chi, sharing its benefits with others. She believes these practices are a key to health, longevity, and unlocking your true potential. Her connection to Tai Chi is deeply personal. She credits the practice with helping her navigate life's stresses and health challenges, calling it a moving meditation and the greatest exercise that you can do. In her own words from a TEDx talk, after facing immense personal loss and illness, she embraced Tai Chi and Qigong, and it saved my life. To see her today is to see grace and balance in motion. She teaches classes, leads workshops at conventions, and actively promotes the benefits of this gentle martial art. Here is a woman who has found a deep source of peace and is now dedicated to helping others find it, too. And what about acting? She hasn't left it behind. Her love for the craft is still there. She continues to appear in independent films and TV shows with fun guest spots on Nickelodeon's The Thundermans and the popular web series The Guild. She even played Commodore Gray in the fan-produced series Star Trek Continues, showing her commitment to the community that has supported her for decades. Recent photos and convention appearances completely back this up. Far from being frail or hidden away, Erin Gray is active, vibrant, and engaged. She's a regular at huge events like Dragon Con, where she not only meets fans but also leads Tai Chi workshops. Her schedule for 2025 is already packed with appearances, a clear sign that she loves connecting with the public. The heartbreaking news was a ghost, a rumor born from silence. The truth is a story of a woman who has beautifully shifted from being a star to being a sun, radiating her own energy and purpose. She's a successful entrepreneur, a respected teacher, a working actress, and a proud wife, mother, and grandmother. She has seized control of her own story, building a life that is rich, fulfilling, and deeply inspiring. If you've been inspired by Erin Gray's incredible journey of resilience and reinvention, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We're dedicated to bringing you the true stories of your favorite stars, cutting through the rumors to celebrate their legacies and their lives today. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update on the icons who shaped our world. So let's go back to where we started, to those shadowy rumors of heartbreaking news. We've walked through a career that defined an era, looked at the quiet struggles of a life in the spotlight, and uncovered the powerful truth of her life today. The story of Erin Gray is not a tragedy. It's a triumph. She's the woman who stepped into the role of a powerful female leader when that was a rarity, and in doing so became a role model for a generation. She didn't just play a colonel. She showed millions of young women what it looked like to be in command. Then, when she could have been trapped by that one role, she pivoted with charm and wit, proving her comedic chops in silver spoons and becoming a welcome guest in our homes for years. And today, she's more in command than ever, not of a starship, but of her own life and legacy. With Heroes for Hire, she's become a major player in the very universe that made her a star, empowering her fellow actors from behind the scenes. As a teacher of Tai Chi, she has found, and now shares, a profound path to wellness and balance, a testament to her lifelong journey of growth. Erin Gray has looked back on her life with gratitude, owning the bumps in the road but feeling blessed by her family and her journey. She has written a third act for herself that might just be her most impressive yet, one defined not by fame, but by purpose, passion, and peace. The heartbreaking news was never about Erin Gray. It was a fiction cooked up by a digital world that's uncomfortable with quiet dignity. The real news, the wonderful and inspiring news, is that Colonel Wilma Deering is doing just fine. In fact, she's thriving. She is living proof that true strength isn't just about fighting aliens in the 25th century. It's about navigating the challenges of a real life with grace, smarts, and an unbreakable spirit. Her legacy isn't just written in the stars, it's written in the lives she's inspired, the business she's built, and the quiet wisdom she now shares with the world. And that's a story worth celebrating,